Brandi Passante. She wasn't just another bidder standing around at dusty storage lockers. She was a star. With her sharp wit, no-nonsense attitude, and ability to stand her ground in a room full of larger-than-life personalities, Brandi became an instant fan favorite. Alongside her then-partner, Jared Schultz, she helped turn a quirky little reality show about abandoned storage units into one of A&E's most watched programs. But fame, as we all know, is fleeting, and in Hollywood, or reality TV to be more precise, it's often brutal. While Brandi was once a central figure in the series, in recent years, her presence on the show has faded. Some fans even began to wonder, did Brandi quit? Did something happen behind the scenes? Or did life after the cameras simply take her down a different path? The truth is, Brandi Passante's story is a lot more complicated and far more inspiring than most viewers realize. Beyond the storage lockers, hidden treasures, and on-screen drama, she's faced personal struggles, relationship heartbreak, and the challenge of reinventing herself outside of the spotlight. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the real Brandi Passante. We'll take you inside her rise to fame, explore the highs and lows of her time on Storage Wars, reveal what really happened with her longtime partner Jared Schultz, and uncover where she is now. Because behind every reality TV character is a real person. And Brandi's journey is one of resilience, independence, and survival in a world that doesn't always play fair. So grab your seat, because what you're about to discover will change the way you see Brandi Passante forever. This is the untold truth of what really happened to the Queen of Storage Wars. Before the fame, before the cameras, and before she was crowned the Queen of Storage Wars, Brandi Passante lived a fairly ordinary life. Born on May 16, 1980, in Harris County, Texas, Brandi grew up far away from the glitz of Hollywood. She didn't come from money or fame. She built everything she had with determination, hustle, and grit. Her story really began in the early 2000s, when she crossed paths with Jared Schultz in Orange County, California. At the time, Jared was working in the mortgage industry, but when that bubble collapsed, he had to reinvent himself. Together, Brandi and Jared decided to try their luck in the second-hand resale business. They opened a small thrift store called Now and Then Second Hand Store. It wasn't glamorous, but it was theirs. Brandi, with her sharp eye for value and her natural charisma, quickly became the backbone of the operation. It was that store and their undeniable chemistry that eventually brought them to the attention of producers at A&E. In 2010, the network was preparing to launch a new reality show called Storage Wars. The premise was simple but addictive. Bidders would gamble on abandoned storage lockers, hoping to find treasure among the trash. The producers needed personalities, people who could bring drama, humor, and tension to the screen. Brandi and Jared were a perfect fit. From the very first season, Brandi stood out. In a male-dominated cast, filled with big egos and louder-than-life characters, she became a voice of reason and strength. Fans loved her witty comebacks whenever rival bidder Dave Hester tried to flex his authority. Viewers cheered as she reined in Jared's riskier bets, balancing his impulsiveness with her sharp instincts. She wasn't just a supporting player, she was a star in her own right. Her dynamic with Jared made them one of the show's most entertaining pairs. They weren't married, but they had been together for years and shared 2 children, Peyton and Cameron. Their relationship added a personal layer to the show, giving fans a glimpse into their life as business partners and parents. Viewers could relate to Brandi's exasperation at Jared's overconfidence, just as much as they admired her ability to hold her own in a room full of hustlers. As Storage Wars gained traction, so did Brandi's fame. The show became a breakout hit for A&E, drawing millions of viewers and spawning multiple spin-offs. By 2013, Brandi and Jared had landed their own short-lived spin-off, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job, which focused more on their family, life, and their store. Although the series only lasted for one season, it cemented Brandi as a recognizable face in the world of reality television. But fame is rarely without its price. While Brandi enjoyed the attention and opportunities, she also began to feel the weight of public scrutiny. Fans praised her for being strong and independent, but tabloids often speculated about her personal life, her relationship with Jared, and even her appearance. Brandi, who had never sought out the spotlight in the first place, suddenly found herself a household name. Still, in those early years, Brandi Passante seemed unstoppable. She had gone from running a thrift store in Orange County to being one of the most popular personalities on reality TV. She was proof that with determination and a bit of luck, ordinary people could become stars. But behind the laughs, the bidding, wars, and the TV ratings, cracks were beginning to form. Fame and fortune don't just test your career, they test your relationships. And for Brandi, the years that followed would bring not just triumphs, but some of her toughest challenges yet. By the early 2010s, Storage Wars had exploded into one of A&E's biggest hits, pulling in millions of viewers and cementing its cast as reality TV celebrities. At the center of this whirlwind was Brandi Passante, who quickly became not just a fan favorite, but also the unofficial face of the show. Viewers loved her no-nonsense attitude, her quick wit, and her ability to outsmart rivals in the high-stakes game of storage auctions. With fame came opportunity. Brandi and Jared's thrift business gained exposure and foot traffic, and the A pair soon landed their own spin-off in 2014, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job. Unlike Storage Wars, which was all about treasure hunting and locker drama, this series focused on their personal lives, juggling a relationship, parenting their 2 kids, and running a store. It was meant to give fans a more intimate look at the couple behind the storage units. But while the show gave Brandi a larger platform, it also exposed the cracks in her relationship with Jared. Viewers noticed tension between them, arguments over money, business decisions, and their very different personalities. Jared, impulsive and risk-prone, often clashed with Brandi's careful, grounded approach. On camera, the banter was entertaining. Off camera, the strain was real. The pressures of fame didn't help. Being in the public eye meant that Brandi was constantly scrutinized. Every outfit she wore, every comment she made, and every moment of frustration with Jared became fodder for online chatter. For someone who had never sought celebrity, this level of attention was overwhelming. She once admitted in interviews that adjusting to life under a microscope wasn't easy, especially when critics were quick to judge her choices as a mother and partner. On top of that, Storage Wars itself wasn't without controversy. Cast feuds spilled into the tabloids, and rumors swirled about behind-the-scenes drama. Some cast members accused the show of staging locker finds, while others left amid lawsuits and contract disputes. Through it all, Brandi kept her composure on screen, but the chaos behind the scenes took its toll. By the mid-2010s, the pressures of running a store, raising a family, filming 2 shows, and managing fame were beginning to pile up. Brandi often found herself playing multiple roles at once: businesswoman, mother, partner, and reality star. It was exhausting, and it showed. Her relationship with Jared became more and more strained as time went on. While they never tied the knot, fans often assumed marriage was in their future. Instead, the opposite was happening. Their differences were driving them apart. And although they kept most of their personal issues private at the time, insiders noticed that Brandi was appearing less and less comfortable in the spotlight. Still, despite the struggles, Brandi remained resilient. She continued to show up for her fans, putting on the strong, witty face they loved. But as the cameras rolled on, her private life was undergoing major changes that would soon spill into public view, because behind the laughter and the locker drama, Brandi Passante was about to face one of her hardest challenges yet, the end of her longtime relationship with Jared Schultz. And that breakup would not only change her personal life, it would change her entire path on Storage Wars and beyond. For years, Brandi Passante and Jared Schultz had been presented as one of Storage Wars' power couples. They weren't married, but their chemistry, banter, and occasional on-screen clashes made them one of the most entertaining duos on reality TV. Fans assumed they'd be together forever, but behind the scenes, their relationship was quietly falling apart. By 2018, after nearly 2 decades together, Brandi and Jared had split for good. They never made a big announcement. Instead, Brandi confirmed it casually in an interview a couple of years later. To many fans, it came as a shock. After all, their partnership had been central not only to their personal lives, but also to their professional image. On Storage Wars, they were a team. Off-screen, they were raising 2 kids together and running businesses. The breakup changed everything. For Brandi, the separation meant adjusting to a whole new life. She became a single mom to her children, Cameron and Peyton, while still balancing her career and public persona. Unlike Jared, who seemed to move on fairly quickly, Brandi was more reserved about her personal life. She opened up in a few interviews, admitting that it was difficult to start over after so many years with one partner. She spoke about how lonely it could feel and how challenging it was to redefine herself outside of the relationship that had defined much of her adult life. The breakup also shifted her role on Storage Wars. When the show returned for later seasons, both Brandi and Jared were still cast members, but no longer appeared as a team. Instead, they were portrayed as rivals, bidding against each other at auctions. For viewers, it was awkward at times. The playful banter that once made them fan favorites now had an edge, a reminder that their personal split had carried over into their professional world. But Brandi didn't let the end of her relationship define her. She focused on her independence, her kids, and her own sense of self. On social media, she began sharing glimpses of her personal life, raising her children, spending time with friends, and attending charity events. Fans who followed her online saw a woman reclaiming her identity and confidence. Still, life after TV fame wasn't always glamorous. Brandi admitted that raising teenagers as a single mom was tough, especially while balancing financial and emotional responsibilities. She was open about her struggles with self-esteem and the pressures of being in the public eye. For someone who had never aspired to celebrity, adjusting to a quieter, more private life after the spotlight faded was both a relief and a challenge. Through it all, Brandi's resilience shone through. She didn't rush into another high-profile relationship or chase reality TV fame with another spin-off. Instead, she carved her own path, focusing on what mattered most, her kids and her personal happiness. By the late 2010s, fans saw less of Brandi on their screens, but those who followed her journey knew she was far from gone. She was simply choosing a different life, one away from the chaos of fame and the drama of a long public relationship. And that brings us to the present. Where is Brandi Passante now, and how has she rebuilt herself after Storage Wars and her breakup with Jared? The answer reveals a woman who didn't fade away. She transformed.